Chair's office, the Appropriations Chair office, and the chair of the subcommittee, just through normal communications. I know some things got put out that said 7:30, and of course, myself and the folks in budget had agreed on 7. So we're going to go ahead and get the ball rolling. And I want to start out thanking Jen and Virginia for all their help through this process to get ready for this. I want to thank my LA Jack and my intern Gwen for the work that they did. I want to thank everybody in Senate Budget who sat down with me and we were able to walk through this. Welcome my legitimately close friend, Senator Ed Harbison, who yeah, good morning, sir. I remember Senator Harbison when he needed a comb. I was a young man, and so was he. But appreciate him being here. I think everybody knows this is my first full year chairing this subcommittee. I think everybody understands where my interest and my heart lies when it comes to the Georgia Department of Corrections. I respect the idea that everybody has different ideas. I really do. But what we're going to do is we're going to walk through this and make sure we're doing exactly what we all feel we need to do for the citizens who pay for this prison system, the citizens who are housed in the prison system, and the citizens who work in this prison system. There are special interests throughout this government. The only people that myself and Senator Harbison and other ones are obligated to as special interest groups are those citizens who pay for this system and the responsibility we have to protect their family members who work and live inside of these prisons. And so as we go through this process, I don't think there's anybody in the room that doesn't know my personality or has not had the opportunity to find out about the way I do things. My favorite cartoon character has always been Popeye because I am what I am. And I am a public servant, so our job is to drill down and make sure we're spending every dime the best way we can and in the right way and within the mission of the Georgia Department of Corrections. So as we go through here, I hope we come up with some great ideas, some great solutions. It's not my intention to offend anybody. So if you become offended, just know it's not my intention. But again, I have a job to do. The Appropriations Chair trusts me. The Lieutenant Governor trusts me, and I'm not going to betray that trust. So with that being said, I'm going to ask my good friend, the Dean of the Senate, Senator Ed Harbison, if he would do me the honor of opening this meeting with a prayer.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Father God. We thank you for allowing us to come to you in prayer this morning to ask for blessings for the deliberation of this session and every session as we arrive and come in the name of you and the people of the state of Georgia. Thank you, Father. Bless us to be mindful and deliberate in our deliberations. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, well, what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to walk through your supplemental budget requests. There'll be times that we'll ask you to stop and answer questions as they arise. I know that you've gone through a process over in the House. I appreciate the work the House has done. Got some great friends over there, some people that understand what's going on. But this is not the House. I tell everybody, there's 3 budgets that come out every year, and there's only one that passes. The governor will come out with his, the House will come out with theirs, the Senate will come out with ours, and then we'll all get in a room, and after much conversation, handshaking, cutting, punching, kicking, we come out with the budget that we send to the citizens or to the governor's desk for him to sign and send to the citizens. So It's all part of the process. So if you want to integrate any of the conversations you've had with the House, you're more than welcome to do that. It's not necessarily a part of what we're talking about today, but if you would just start and let's go through this. And as you go through it, if you would reference where you are in your budget so that everybody can track. And again, appreciate everybody being here. Your mic is hot.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Chairman Harbison, and the Chairman, Ms. Tillard. Good seeing you this morning, and members. I'm not sure if you have a tracking sheet, but before I start, I'm just going to go over a brief overview of some stats that we went over briefly in the joint session. The total population housed at the Georgia Department of Corrections is roughly 50,000 plus offenders, with an additional 3,000 on probation and parole that's housed in the PDCs, or probation detention centers, RSAT, and ITF, integrated treatment facilities. In FY25, their admissions were 13,518, and we released 13,975 successfully back into the community. Our inmate breakdown, 75% violent, that's 3 in every 4 inmates, 25% nonviolent of the population. The violent population has increased 12% since 2012. Our gang affiliations, our validated gang affiliations, over 15,000, pushing 16,000, 15,888. That's 31% of our population are participating in our STG or Security Threat Group.
Real
That's
quick,
1 in 3.
Commissioner, how far back do y'all track population?
We go back, how far, Cliff? The very beginning.
Very beginning? Okay. Over the last 3 years, what's been the population increase or decrease in Georgia Department of
Might be coming
Corrections?
up on the next slide.
Okay.
A few slides. We could kind of show that. It's the third one. I could jump to that. You just want to go to the
Yeah,
second one?
yeah,
Okay.
let's,
You can see the population increase, and it's our population projection slated for the next 5 years. So you can kind of see where our population was in 2012 versus where it's at today. You can see the dip in COVID. During the COVID years, we had releases in COVID, and now we're pushing back up to where we're at today, over 50,000, and projected in the next 5 years to hit 55,000 offenders. We also did a study, still trying to validate the numbers on a 10-year projection. We're slated in 10 years to be at about 64,000.
who does this, who did this study?
It was the applied ARS. Applied research.
Who's applied research?
Cliff.
Yeah, one of my favorite people that you have on your staff is that guy.
The data guy.
Yeah, the data
Morning,
guy.
everybody.
Yeah.
So ARS is Applied Research Services, Dr. John Spear. They have been a partner of corrections in Georgia for over 30 years, but they also contract out to other states. So they have a very long history of working with corrections and doing population projections in corrections.
And have we looked back and see how close they've been through this time?
We have. The last official, I say official, this was not an in-depth projection, but in 2018, they specifically looked at the life without parole population.
Right.
And following their projections last year, they were off by less than 10.
Right. What is our life without parole percentage right now?
Life without parole, we have about 2,200 of them.
Okay, so that's a very minuscule number
Well,
to the overall population. Would you agree?
yes, it's about 4%, but when
Right.
you add in the lifers, so
Right.
life without parole plus lifers, it's over 10,000, so they make up about 20%
Right.
of the population.
And then so we still got 80% out there, and those are, while they continue to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the vast majority would probably be violent crimes.
Yes.
They would not be. Are we talking 30 years average?
So if you look at, we look at it for 20 years and over.
Okay.
For 20 years and over, and life without parole, they make up half the
So
population.
50%.
Yes, serving very, very long sentences.
Okay. And so this, what do we pay for these studies?
The contract that we signed with ARS, it was a contract with GDC, DCS, and Pardons and Parole, so 3-agency contract for projections for all three. I think it was 350,000.
A year?
No, total. And then they continue working with us.
Okay, so we just have a
into-
partnership.
Yes.
Okay,
And again,
so
that
as
partnership.
needed?
Yes, sir.
Do they do this for other corrections around the country?
They do. They work specifically in Tennessee, Alabama, California. California is a big partner for them since they're under federal guidance right now.
Consent?
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is something, again, that they've basically spent their entire careers
Okay,
doing.
so we're comfortable with these projections then?
Absolutely.
Okay. Carry on.
And then that was just kind of what Cliff was speaking about with the 20 years life sentences. And you can kind of see how the sentence length has increased over the last several years, since 1990. They're serving longer sentences on those, as you know. All right. Jumping into our governor's recommendations for the amended.
And I want to be real
FY26.
clear on something. I made a request that day in my office that we all met and talked, and I was speaking of a specific report. And I appreciate the report I got, but that is not what I was talking about. Several years ago, there had been a report that came out that would tell me exactly, it was broken down into everything from race, gender, religion, children, how many children were impacted by people within the system. I see you nodding. I think you know which report I'm talking about. A couple of years back, we spoke, and the group that was putting that report out normally, I was told was going to cease putting that report out, and that DOC was going to take the responsibility of getting that report out. Can you reference what I'm talking about? And that mic's hot.
So Cliff, he's talking about the report that was done through BJA originally,
Okay.
and then they stopped doing the report, and I guess the intent was that we mirror that report and keep it rolling. I don't think that should be a hard lift or heavy lift from that report.
No, we can do that.
You understand what I'm talking about, Cliff?
I'm not sure which specific report you're talking about, but if we have a copy of it, I mean, it's obviously something that we can replicate.
It's pretty voluminous,
I can
but
point it- I can point
it
it to
gets down into the micro categories of the people that we currently have
Correct.
in our prison system.
I can point him to it and show it, and if it's okay, I can get it back to you.
Could you get that to us sooner than later?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because I think if we're going to look at this, if we're going to look at pennies, we need to be looking at the granular details of the people that we have in our prison system right now.
Understood.
I apologize. That's one of Senator Tillery's friends. I just happen to be married to her. All right, go ahead, Commissioner.
All right. Again, I'm not sure where you're at on the tracking sheet. This is from the joint session tracking numbers, but on the amended budget for additional CO positions, it's going to be 4.9 million increase.
This is the Senate tracking sheet,
Oh, sorry, this is in the tracking sheet. I'm sorry.
the 113.
The 113.2 at 4.9 million. To improve our staffing ratios to 1-11. Of course, when we started this journey, we were at 1-16 in partnership with God House and Moss Group. During the assessment, they did an analysis across several other states and came up with this benchmark of 1-11 ratio. Currently, we're sitting at 1-14, and we feel confident with the additional funding and how we're retaining more COs coming into the door that we can hit this number by end of fiscal year 27.
Commissioner, how many COs do you currently have in
Current-
position?
Currently, we have in position
3,100.
3,100.
You have 3,100. What are you currently budgeted for?
Oh, hang on a second. It's in my notes here. I want to say it was 3,087.
So you're budgeted for 3,087, and you have 3,100?
Yes. Is that right?
Am I upside down on that?
The exact number is hard to define, but yes.
Okay.
We don't have enough funding to continue hiring.
Well, it sounds like to me you've hired more than you have money for already. So we
Yes.
filled unfunded slots.
Yes.
It's counterintuitive to me. Then how are we paying people that we are not funded for?
Well, it's some of the lapse factors too. So when you look at the turnover over the years, that's why we're running in a deficit right now in personal services.
But when somebody turns over, that money becomes available, correct?
Correct.
So that slot is open.
It is.
And then when we hire somebody, they go into that slot, right?
Correct.
We're not hiring people into unfunded slots, are we?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm just,
Yeah, we're currently in a deficit in personal services.
okay. So we're paying people from where? From the
the
black
public.
hole that exists?
Other funds.
Other funds that we have.
Versus not appropriated funds.
Other funds that are not appropriated funds.
Yes, sir.
Could somebody define other funds that are not appropriated funds?
Yes, sir, those are funds that we generate as an agency, which the primary ones are our work details. They go out and do work in the communities, the counties and municipalities reimburse us for those. And then we also have commissions that we get from telephone calls and commissions from our commissary sales.
Right. So in other words, we're paying unfunded slots out of revenue.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how's this revenue tracked? Is tracked through, how do you know how much money you have in revenue?
Because, we track it on invoicing and on services provided.
How's this reported outside of DOC?
How is what, sir?
How's this reported outside of department? Who do we communicate with to let them know that we're taking revenue funds and we're using it? Because when I'm thinking of a funded slot, I'm thinking of the full package. I'm thinking of pay and benefits, which includes health care, pension, everything else. And so with what I'm hearing, and one of my favorite movies is Margin Call. And there's a thing where the guy who runs this $1 billion fund looks at an analyst and says, "Speak to me as if you were talking to a small child or a golden retriever." So what I'm trying to do is simplify this, so if there's some citizen that cares about this, they will understand exactly what we're doing with their money. Because it's all their money, right?
Yes, sir.
So if we have a process where we have to come and justify needing positions, and we go to the appropriations chair and we said we need 5,000 positions, and we can fill 5,000 positions, then our ask to the appropriations chair is that we get the funding, the pay and benefits, full package for 5,000 human beings to go into those jobs. In many cases, if we say we need 5,000 and we know we can only go out and get 3,000, then we either ask for the funding for 3,000 or we ask for the funding for 5. But the money never moves from those positions. Operations and personnel in my world of budgeting should never touch each other. Because when we start doing that, the pool can easily get tainted when we start moving money that's appropriated for one thing into an area where it is not appropriated for. So I'm trying to understand, the revenue goes in, how does the revenue get to a slot?
Well,
Who makes that determination?
when you have a really good budgeting and accounting team, it's what helps a lot with that, sir. But that's what we do. We receive that revenue in,
Yeah.
and then we allocate it into our areas that have a deficit.
So when the revenue comes in, the budget team within the Georgia Department of Corrections determines where that money needs to go.
Yes, sir.
Is there any place in the Georgia Department of Corrections that that money cannot go?
Certain things, yes, sir.
Like what?
Like Braille funds. We generate money off of Braille sales that our Braille unit out of Central State Prison generates. So, they
Right.
create books for Braille schools. Those funds have to go directly back into the Braille program. That's
Okay.
one example.
And that's mandated by policy?
Yes, sir.
And what would you say that revenue is?
Right now, I think we're at like 25,000 this year. We're a little
Okay.
down on that, but I'd say most years it's 85 to 100.
Okay.
We've had some transition there in within the Braille program.
Okay, so the correctional officer positions you're asking for, Commissioner, are those new positions or are those existing positions?
Existing positions.
Okay, so you're not looking for any new correctional officer positions, you're only looking for funding for the initial
Correct.
correctional officer positions. So once you get this funding, how close will this funding get you to every slot, filled and unfilled, being funded?
We're trying to get to 1 to 11 is where we're trying to get to based off of.
What is that number?
That number, I can get you the
Yeah.
exact number of COs. that would be.
I need to know how many COs it would take to get to that number, to the 1 to 11 number, and that's guidehouse?
Yes.
That's the guidehouse?
Yes.
Standard
Yes.
of the 1 to 11?
Yes.
Okay. And because right now you're still, what, 114?
114, yes,
Yeah.
sir. We started with at 1 to 16. We've been moving the needle forward a little bit,
Yeah.
but not accelerating.
And when Guidehouse looks at those numbers like that, are they looking at the classification of the inmate? Or are they thinking 111 is the number just across the board, whether it's a close
I think
security or minimum or medium?
when they looked at it, when they came up with that number, they benchmarked other states or surrounding states, southern states, and where they were at compared to us, and that's the number that they.
But were they
came up to.
comparing overall inmate population to correctional officer population?
I'm not sure if they did that or not.
You see where I'm?
Yes, sir.
Because, if we're looking at a prison with close security, you would think your number may be 1 to 8 if 1 to 11 is medium, because the more intense supervision in some of those cases. That's just a question in the back of my head. But, so all the money you're asking for COs just gets you to where you need to be.
Yes, sir.
In other words, these are no new slots.
No, we need 890 would be the number to get us to 1 to 11 additional.
890 additional,
Correct.
890 filled.
Field positions.
890 more.
so
So this will get us to. It's only taking us to. I want to say it was 200.
This request is based on our current hiring projection, based on the number we know we're hiring every month.
That realistic,
It's not going to get
27.5.
us, it's not going to get us to 890.
yeah.
that realistic number you were talking about earlier, sir, we need 5,000, but
Right.
we can really practically feel like we can fill 3,000.
Is this funding also going to alleviate us from the need to pay correctional officers out of revenue?
Not completely, no, sir. The total need to cover the deficit, I think, was about 19 million.
And what was your ask?
The recommendation is 4.9. That recommendation.
So we're talking
in that
about a
fund-
$15 million.
And on the House added an additional funding in the budget that they passed yesterday. They got it up from 4.9 to about 9 million.
9.7.
9.7.
9.7?
Yes.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
And I know previously you asked about our vacancy rates over the past fiscal years, and on the slide there you can see where we stand and our projected rate to kind of show to kind of also paint the picture of where we stand with the deficit. As you can see, our vacancy rate has decreased, and so is our turnover rate.
So right now, you have no funded slots that are funded outside these open slots.
Yes, correct.
You don't have any of these open slots that are funded by the state currently, or these slots, because you're paying them with revenue, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, so every state slot that you've been funded is filled.
That's correct.
Yes.
Basically.
Okay. All right. And to get back to that point, when you hire a CO, and they come in as a CO1?
CO1, yes, sir.
Okay, and there's a career track to CO2.
Two. Yes, sir.
How long does it take? What's the normal track from a CO1 to a CO2?
CO1, they come in that's their regular, and then 6 months, 6 months to a year to become a CO2.
Okay, what's
After
the
BCOT.
pay increase on that?
So you'll see it right here. You'll see the correctional officer.
I
one.
wish I could see that.
Sorry,
far.
correctional officer 1 in a non-close security special mission prison. It's your medium prisons. They start at 45,000, and then they will get and then from CO1 to CO2, it's 50,000.
Okay,
In a close
so-
security prison, they start out. CO1 starts out at 50,000, and CO2 is 48. No, it's 50, and then it goes into 55.
Okay, so we're talking about a $5,000 pay increase in, what's the average time?
A year.
A year? So, do you ask for that additional 5,000? And is this and I know the answer, I believe I know the answer. This is not an automatic transition from 1 to 2, right? You have some that come in as 1s that maybe, is this just automatic that, so if they show up every day, they do the time, 12 months later, they're going to get a $5,000 increase?
On performance evaluations and.
Okay,
yes,
but paid for performance then?
Yes.
So if they underperform, do they not get the 5,000?
They get there's a step increase that's in there, that you all supported.
Right.
To the 48, but they don't get promoted to the CO2.
Okay, so they get a step increase, but they stay as CO1 with a step increase?
Correct.
When we fully fund these slots, is part of your request that the 5,000 be in that slot also?
Yeah, so fully funded will include any promotions that they would get and any steps above that too.
Any anticipated promotion?
Yes.
Yeah. On average, does everybody move from a 1 to a 2 fairly
On average,
seamless?
yes.
Yeah. So you're hiring just the perfect people then, right?
Sometimes, but
Yeah.
when you look at our turnover, some of them leave within the first year, so they
Or
never
sooner.
even make it, or sooner.
Yeah.
So they never make it to that CO2. But if they stick with us, then yes, it's pretty seamless to go from a 1 to a 2.
Okay, but when we're talking about a slot that pays 45, when you budget for that slot, you budget for 50
Yes.
because you know they're going to make a 2 within that 12 months.
Hope, yes.
You hope, yeah, you hope. All right, thank you.
The next slide, you can see kind of where we stand in parts of the region to other municipalities and counties in the north, southeast, and southwest. I'm not sure if you have that in your packet. I know it's on the screen there. But you can kind of see where our pay scale, our entry-level salaries stand when it compares to like Forsyth, Fulton, Cobb, Gwinnett, so forth and so on. And what Phillips State Prison is sitting at, and then North Region, Southeast with Coastal, and then Chatham County, and then also respectively in the Southwest with Valdosta, Lowndes County, Mitchell County, and others.
Looking at the entry salaries, have y'all done anything to look at the overall benefit package compared to county jails?
I'm not sure if we have.
Because I know, I mean, I came from an agency that had a defined benefit plan, which, as I progressed through my career, luckily I got in on a defined benefit plan and others did not. They went into a hybrid plan and then eventually to an investment 401k. So all of your current employees are part of the ERS, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so we can equate a value to the ERS. So do we factor that in when we're looking at overall benefits, looking at
Yes.
Cobb and these other places? And do we have that number? That's just, this right here is
That's
just
entry
salary.
salary, yes.
Yeah, but we could get that number as we move through. I'm not asking for anything anytime soon, but that might be something that we could look
Okay.
at so that we'll make sure we're comparing apples to apples.
Yes, sir.
Right, yeah. Because there are other benefits that the counties get that your individuals certainly don't get, such as equipment, take-home vehicles, things of that nature that could impact also.
Correct.
Yeah.
And same thing respectively for our bordering states and other state agencies. Bordering states, they're the column and the table on the left, and other public safety agencies on the right. You can see where we stand for, in Georgia, close security, special mission prison versus Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee. And then our medium security, we're behind Florida and slightly above North Carolina. And then you can see where we stand with public safety agencies within Georgia for CO1, special mission, and then a medium center.
Thank you.
All right. And next I'll have Cliff come back up and explain these next few slides a little bit in detail.
So one of the things, and you mentioned it earlier, is we're looking at not just how many officers we have, but how long do they stay with us? What's their tenure? So the slides that you're looking at now give you an idea of how many we have and how long have those officers been with the Department of Corrections. So the blue line is back from 2007 when we had over 8,000 correctional officers. red lines from 2025 when we have our current 3,100. So again, it's not just a difference of 5,000 correctional officers less, it's how long and tenured are the officers we have now. So as you can see, back in 2007, between years 2 and 20 of tenure, there were a lot of officers in that grouping, and that's what you would consider a seasoned veteran. So there were a lot of officers with that experience who were officers for years and years and years. And as you can see, when you compare that against now, you don't have that group that much anymore. Usually people become a correctional officer. You can see the most tenured group is actually around 2 years. That's where we peak. And then people are either leaving corrections or they're promoting up faster than they have in the past.
So are you looking at the green? The box to the right?
Yes, so you can see there, sir, in 2007, how many officers. We still had a lot of new, fresh officers in
Right.
2007, but above that, we had many, many more officers in those roles for years and years and years.
Yeah, because I see the flip from, what we're looking at, 3,500 to 1,700?
Yes, sir.
From 07 to 25?
So again, the loss of that seasoned officer that has occurred over the last 2 decades.
And most of the seasoned officers are retired out?
Retire out, promote up into other positions, which you'll see, because again, this is just correctional
Right.
officers.
Thank you, I like that.
And this again continues that same exact theme. So sergeants are the next level in the chain, so they supervise those correctional officers and provide that guidance on the front line. And as you can see, 2007, how many sergeants we had in those tenured groupings that we just don't have anymore. Back in 2007, you'll notice the spike in the number of sergeants that we had didn't occur until they had about 8 years of tenure. Well, now our highest group of sergeants actually occurs at around 3 years of tenure. So what's happening is correctional officers are getting promoted earlier, but we also just don't have that core group of seasoned vets in the sergeant position.
So has the span of control increased for those sergeants?
Yes, absolutely.
Fewer sergeants, more people to manage?
Yes,
Because you have less sergeants?
sergeants.
Yeah. And so, do you have open sergeant slots?
Yes.
Okay, what's prior to sergeant?
Now it's currently CO3.
CO3?
Correct.
And so you have CO3s that aren't necessarily, and y'all still use the UGA promotion
Assessment center.
The
assessment
assessment
center
center,
for sergeant?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
As well as our own internal Sergeants Academy.
Right. So it's in conjunction with?
Correct.
And I believe this is the final slide, but again, these are lieutenants who oversee those sergeants and those correctional officers. So again, frontline supervisors. This one is very telling. 2007 to 2025, we only have about 20 less, but if you look at the experience that those lieutenants have, the spike in the number of lieutenants that we had in 2007, the majority of them had almost 15 years of experience. Now, it's 3 to 5. That's how much experience they have. So, seasoned veterans, we just don't have that anymore.
Do lieutenants and sergeants move inmates?
Transfer, yes.
Yeah,
they do.
transfer, I'm talking about within the facility?
Correct.
Is their job beyond supervision much different from that of a correctional officer?
Well, they are currently required to move in inmates because of the lack of correctional officers inside of the
Right.
facility. So their current duties that they have as supervisors still exist on top of anything that they do to supplement the correctional officers.
And I'm not speaking ill of any supervisor inside corrections. It's a hell of a responsibility to have. But even though they are no longer correctional officers, they are still, a portion of their daily duties are still the duties of correctional officers, right?
Correct.
And just layered on top of that is the responsibility for the other correctional officers who they are tasked with supervising, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Are sergeants or lieutenants tasked with supervising inmates inside of dorms and
Yes.
things of that nature?
Yes.
So they aren't roving, they are stationary?
In
many times?
some cases, and
Right.
I may speak to that. a
And
little
and
bit
I'm
more
not saying it's
operational side.
ideal, I'm saying
Yeah.
because of the shortage of personnel, they're being required to do things that
They may be on
aren't
post.
typical.
They may be on post, or they may relieve somebody so while they go on lunch break or things of that
Right,
nature.
and the
but
relieving on lunch
sometimes-
break, I can appreciate that. I'm just saying, lieutenant comes in, or whoever does the daily assignments comes in, are there times that he or she has to assign themselves to what would typically be a CO3?
Correct. You know, so typically, as an example to what you're saying, if we come in and the lieutenant has identified that they're down several priority posts, they'll take the control room instead of taking their normal shift in
Right.
order to maintain that control room, take count, and still manage the cadence of that facility. Or and then in turn, they'll push their sergeants down to essentially assist as a roving officer and count in buildings with officers to help supplement that staff. So depending on the facility's staffing, yes, they will operate in a dorm much like a correctional
And so the
officer.
reality is we lose eyes during the day when we have to do that, right? Eyes on personnel.
I mean, we utilize, of course, like Ahmed was talking about, Assistant Commissioner Holt, the control room. So we have camera
Right.
systems in there, but physical.
Right, physical
the
interaction with
interaction on there.
subordinates.
Correct.
To checks, balance, make sure everybody's got going, what they got going on, making sure there's no needs that aren't being met for the staff,
Yeah,
for
it
the
can happen.
COs, 1s, 2s, and 3s. Yeah.
And they, monitor through the radio traffic, like the commissioner is saying, through monitoring, and then over the top of it, we provide assistance.
And if a
from Central.
crisis occurs, they can't necessarily respond as fast if they're in a stationary assignment, correct?
Correct. They will become the actual incident responder.
And listen, I'm not saying any of this to disparage anything. I'm trying to say this to point out the fact that we have to figure out a solution to get fully staffed so that everybody can do their job.
Correct.
And supervision, especially when you're talking the ranks of, not to offend anybody above the rank of lieutenant, I've been there and I know, the perception that gets there, you move up, move out. But the most important position I always told everybody in any agency like this is this position of a sergeant. Sergeant, I'd rather have 5 sergeants than a major, because they're as close to boots on the ground, being able to supervise the men and women that are doing the job. So if we pull them out and put them somewhere where they can't have the ability to go out and supervise and manage, then we lose something. And so I appreciate that. Okay, we're over on Office of Professional Standard Personnel on your slides, I believe.
Yes, sir. And on 113.3, Security Threat Group Regional Coordinators, at $137,000. Currently, we have one Security Threat Group Coordinator that try to facilitate all the communications with gang activity around the state. As you heard me state before, almost 1/3 of the population's affiliated with gangs. So supporting this recommendation will add an additional 3 positions to help better manage and share communications across state as we deal with the increasing gang population that we have. 113.4, canine handlers, adding 6 additional canine handlers to the fleet. Currently, we have 26 canine officers who respond across the state. And as you can see on the next slide,
What is y'all's relationship with Georgia's with GSP as far as canines?
good.
Do y'all
Yeah,
work
we assist.
close together?
Yes, we assist, GSP, any agency that really calls for us and needs our assistance, we come, and vice versa.
Are y'all aware of the new facility that they have in their budget for dealing with canines?
No, sir, I'm not.
I think it's about a $15 million investment to help train, manage canine operations around not only here in Georgia, but they're looking to partner with local municipal agencies, and I think the state of Tennessee was even mentioned as something. So can we lean into that and make sure that if we're going to invest $15 million into something dealing with canines, that the Department of Corrections canine teams finding some advantage there, to make sure we're not doing duplication of services, but also to make sure that we're using our resources wisely, and you guys are having the opportunity of being able to look at quality canine training and management of canine handlers, which
Yes.
it's a heck of a responsibility to be responsible for a dog. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, and $15 million for a facility is a stout investment, I think.
Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that.
Thank you.
As you can see, our canine, I just want to highlight them because they work nonstop. I mean, all times of night for the amount of canine handlers that we have throughout the state to cover the whole state. They responded to a total of 4,408 incidents to include, I mean, you have multiple canines going out, but that's total call-outs is about 1,600. And so you can see the contraband and stuff that they've recovered in 25 and dorm searches. They also assist in that. So not only are we assisting inside the wire and helping protect inside the wire, but we're also protecting outside the wire as well.
Now, tell me what you're doing outside the wire with the canines.
So you can see call out. So to your point, if a local agency requests our assistance in tracking, or anything local assistance canine related, they usually, they call us. We come if we're available.
If we're available, but our priority is inside the wire,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Senator Harbison.
To your office,
Senator Harbison, can you pull your mic a little
Yes, I'm
closer?
sorry. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
The security threat category under the canine handles. For my information, the canines can detect cell phones.
Correct.
And secondly, we operate drones as well.
Correct. So in the recommendation, we're requesting 15 drones to assist our canines on tracking, things of that nature when they go out to assist. If we have, an absconder, they're in the woods, or we're helping local law enforcement track. So that funding not only funds the canine, all the equipment, but also the purchase of 15 drones to assist in there.
And I asked that last question about the drone because we're trying to do the suppression thing. And so how does that counter with we operating them as well and the frequencies involved and that kind of thing?
This will be outside the wire. So the drone suppression that you're speaking of is actually on the prison grounds themselves, and this will be assisting with operations outside the prison wire, outside the walls of the prison.
This is our agency, or you contract with someone to do that?
Our agency.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And to Senator Harbison's question about the drones inside the wire, those frequencies are managed by the SIM card, right, within the drone?
Yeah, they're getting more and more sophisticated by the day, but mainly SIM card, cellular network. I mean, they're coming up with fiber.
But I know the FAA, when some drones are built, you couldn't fly it over the airport in Columbus
Correct.
because of the way it's programmed.
Correct.
But you could fly it in other places around Columbus. So in these jamming things he's talking about, is there the capabilities of having a drone that will fly over a prison with the jamming software programmed not to prevent our drones from flying over the prison while preventing the bad guys' drones from flying over the prison?
We can whitelist our drones, but
What does whitelist mean?
well, you can put the ID into our
Allow
system,
that,
allow it,
exactly.
and then it'll allow the flight. What we're seeing now with some of our suppression technology and the criminal element is that they're bypassing that. They're programming the drones to where they can bypass the no-fly zone.
Yeah.
We can still detect
Yeah.
and track, but it'll still allow the fly over no-fly zone.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, but I think what we do is looking at the track that Senator Harbison's got us on is, I think the technology's gonna get there where we're gonna be able to stop them from doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I see us being able to fly drones over our prison as an added benefit, added eyes.
Correct.
So that if we do have somebody in a control room, that they can watch this.
Absolutely.
And we know of incidences, and we've sat and had conversation about incidences where we would have real-time information post-investigation or post-incident and also things that could help us see something coming that we could hopefully prevent. And I know we had one group come in, I mean, their drones come up and their drones are built to attack.
Correct.
They can deliver chemical weapons and they can deliver a punch. And so having additional resources inside, while 111 sounds really good when we're dealing with 114 and other things, I think we know in some of these facilities, it could be 1.5 and we're still going to have incidences and still problems, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any technology y'all see
Absolutely.
out there, I think we need to dive into.
Yes, sir.
And we're on, I think, 13.7, 113.7. Increased funds for additional programming at Metro Reentry
I
Facility.
think we have to go back to, on our same topic, 113.5, we did cover.
Oh, okay.
Drones and managed access systems at 13.8.
Yep.
Obviously, you all are very familiar with our drone and managed access suppression efforts, and so this will fund an additional 8 detection systems. So definitely needed and supported as we continue to fight our contraband.
Okay.
And then you can see on the next slide, there's just a depiction of our drone incidents by month for this fiscal year since December 24. And you see how they're going up, and then incidents by state prisons.
Real quick, you said something about contraband. Are we charging individuals caught with
We-
contraband?
we are.
What are we charging them with?
For various things. Of course, we charge them with the contraband itself if it's illegal drugs.
Cell phone, what are we charging them?
Cell phone, it's trading with inmates or
You're charging the inmate with that?
no, the individuals.
Are we charging inmates with any of these charges?
Yes,
Possession
yes,
of contraband?
Yes, and you'll see.
Just real quick, I know my meetings tend to go for a while, and I want to be respectful of everybody's morning. What are we charging an inmate with if he's caught with a cell phone?
What do we got, Matt, on the charges? Hold on.
We're not charging inmates that we catch before, there's just too many.
It's a disciplinary act. We do an in-house disciplinary action for inmates with cell phones.
What's a
but-
disciplinary action that would be typical of an inmate with a cell phone?
So they'll charge them with the disciplinary action and when it goes to it, it'll charge them cost of any damage, anything that goes associated with that phone coming in, damaging our areas, but then also.
Y'all just come in Randy Robertson's cell and you flip his pillow over and there's a cell phone under his pillow.
It's quite possible you'll end up in tier for about 12 months if we can charge you with that phone. And if
Just
there's
possession.
Possession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then
then what is
also-
tier?
Is our segregation location,
Okay.
but it's an extended segregation intended to deal with any major disciplinary action.
Do I still have all other benefits? Do I still have the capabilities of visitation? Do I have the
That can be
capabilities
suspended.
of commissary and everything
All
else?
of those things can be addressed within the context of the disciplinary.
Are
Taking
they?
away commissary, reducing visitation, or taking away visitation as a whole, time away from being able to go to programming, et cetera, until they're out of that.
and then
Are
also
we-
talk
are
about
we-
implications.
And then, of course, we notify probation and parole during that time. So anybody that is under probation and parole sentence after the fact, they're already made aware of, and it actually can be revoked as a result of.
But they're violated while inside, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so basically, we're just saying, hey, instead of the opportunity for you to get out in 6 months, you're not.
It may be extended.
Yeah,
Correct.
so we get to keep that problem for an additional 6 months.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or revoked, they can actually revoke so if they have a split sentence, their split sentence can be revoked to actual prison time instead of outside time.
Do people outside of prison appreciate the danger that a cell phone inside of a prison brings?
I don't think they fully understand.
Is
the
it because
dangers
everybody
that-
carries one, they just
Correct.
don't see it?
Correct.
And-
And quite honestly, and the commissioner's always talking about it, me from my seat and operations seat, it is the most dangerous thing we have inside a facility. The ability for them to do harm to the general public. It is not them just going and having a phone call with their mom to say, hey, I love you. Many times it's being supported by gang infrastructure. And right now, the cost associated with it, the cell phone is a bank. A cell phone is access to your information, your personal information, and the general public doesn't understand that if I have a nefarious intent, I can find out everything I need to find out about you. So the Georgia Department of Corrections.
Wait, you're saying they can get all your information over a cell phone?
Correct.
So we wouldn't have to submit anything to the Department of Justice for them to find out everything about us and possibly steal our identity?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. But I do think people have become so used to cell phones
Yes.
that they don't appreciate the danger inside there. But I think we've had hits put out via cell phones on people outside the wire that have been successfully carried out.
Correct. Absolutely.
And other things of that nature against correctional officer staff and others. So I appreciate that. We're going to have to come up with some way to send a message. And the message is, if you got a choice, you can have a cell phone or freedom. And let the people in the black robes challenge us on the constitutionality of somebody having commissary, seeing their grandmother as she slowly exits this planet or whatever else. They get to make choices, and they get to pay the price for those choices. Because I think it contributes to the overall culture that prevents good men and women wanting to become correctional officers because of the dangerous culture our lack of discipline has created. And I know you guys are under scrutiny of courts and everything else, but I think at some point we have to poke a judge in the eye to make them see that this isn't whatever scripted television show they've been watching, that this is the real world and people die because of these silly things that we think don't matter. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I had a conversation with a CEO who's no longer with us, ran into out in the community and asked why'd you leave, and it was exactly that. I mean, the level of access, you're walking by, you're trying to do your job, and they tell you what your address is, you know who your kids are, where they go to school at, showing pictures of your house on. To you describing your house, I should say, and that's a lot, to comprehend and deal with when you're just trying to go in there and do a job and trying to better for the betterment of the state.
I just think we need to, and you guys do a good job. And look, I look around, I see the commissioner. He's somebody I know, somebody I respect, and I know all of the rest of you from calls and meetings and everything else, and I appreciate what you do. But you don't. Many days I'm frustrated y'all don't have a spokesperson in the community that can come out and just say it like it is. And so anytime I can rant about the dangers that exist inside the prison, I'm going to do that. And so I appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And if anybody gets mad at y'all can tell them where my office is. I appreciate that.
All right, thanks.
We at 113.7?
Which one was 113?
Seen you jumped across. Didn't you jump over? No. Where's he?
It's a note about topic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
113.
I'm sorry. You're bouncing all around. Yeah.
Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
No.
We're on 11311.
Yes.
Public safety equipment at $2.4 million. That's recommended. Governor's recommended in the amended budget. This is for one-time investment that'll help GDC's overall mission to include officers' vest and weapon replacement that we have much needed equipment for.
Now, you're saying this is a one-time investment. Which line in there is officer vests?
It's all of it. So we're gonna put, most of it's gonna be, I can break down and give you a breakdown of the cost of the total vest, and then also how many weapons we're gonna replace with that. But our goal is to
remember
have
you
every
saying
officer
something.
to have a vest.
I remember you saying something in joint. These vests are all custom vests?
Correct.
Okay. So
Well-
the vest, they measure the officer.
Well, they're coming in, it's not like the typical ballistic vests. We had those before, but now they're like small, medium, large, so they're kind of universal fit vests.
Primarily for
thermostat
edge
vests.
weapons and
Correct.
things of that nature,
Correct.
not necessarily for
Correct.
firearms.
But for our public safety officials who are going out there, they will be measured for ballistic vests as well, so.
Okay. And what was it other, it was weapons also?
Yes, weapons replacement for our older weapons that we have.
Sidearms and long guns?
Sidearms and long guns, yes, sir.
Okay, and the long guns all stay on the facility, or the long guns travel with the officer?
Both. So some of it's with our
CERT.
OPS, CERT, our IRT team, our SRT teams.
And this is all inventoried and assigned?
Absolutely.
To each officer?
Yes.
And so everybody that's getting something's bringing something back?
Yes.
We're replacing?
Yes.
No, nothing new?
Shouldn't be, yes. No, so it's weapon replacement.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I noticed y'all have Narcan in here?
Yes.
Yeah. Did have y'all reached out for opioid settlement funds for that?
Yes, we did, but they denied us.
They did not, they said there was no additional funding left for that.
Okay, and who denied this?
Community health, I believe. Come on to the mic, okay.
Yeah. If you can just run down the timeline of this, I'd appreciate it.
We reached out, I think it was in November, and then we actually had a meeting in December, and they checked and got back to us, and they sent us an email notification after our meeting. They told us in the meeting, too, that there were no funds, but they did confirm by email, DBHDD, that there were no funds left for opioid. They could spare to GDC. Everything had been reserved for other causes.
Okay.
Because these are just simply for the Narcan, the medicine to implement for overdose exposure.
And this Narcan would be in control of the officer, right?
Yes.
So should there be an overdose or some need that the officer would be able to deploy the Narcan, case by case?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
And the request is just because simply we just have so many locations and just the volume, it is a budget hit to us. Because the Narcan prices have gone down significantly a little bit.
They have.
Yeah.
And so.
We have them in our mail rooms and in vehicles and other places.
What mic are you on, Chairman Tiller? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What percentage of your population is incarcerated due to an opioid-related charge? Or has an opioid?
Treatment.
Treatment, either one.
Yeah, we
Combine
You can come to the mic. Come over here. Come over here.
We submitted some data before that we have about 2,500 total substance abuse, documented substance abuse.
About 5%?
With our RSATs and our PDCs as well.
Okay.
We have about 62 confirmed diagnosed opioid addicts that are medically diagnosed with opioid disorder. Now, most of the opioid disorders come from their histories. There's probably a lot of individuals that have a history of substance abuse disorder, but it's not a medical disorder at the time we are treating them or receive them in prison. But substance use disorder can mean they've had a history of substance abuse, but
Gotcha.
today they don't have a substance use
When you're running that big report that Senator Robertson asked y'all about, going back to the one that was done before, if there's a way to pull out and just give me an idea of what percentage are there either on opioid-related charge or they're in receiving opioid treatment, I think it'd be enlightening.
How many to the opioid? Vast majority of the prescriptions written inside the prison involve any type of opioid?
There are some, yes.
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 When y'all do your contraband sweeps, is there ever recovery of drugs?
Absolutely.
And what's the primary drug that's recovered?
Fentanyl is actually included in that. Some opioids, marijuana. We have a ton of methamphetamine that comes inside of our facilities on every shakedown that we have. Every drone that comes in is packaged with it. Outside pills that are actually outside of the casings as well. So yes, on every shakedown there is there in our mail. We have treated paper coming in that has been laced with the same.
Has treated paper had a negative impact on anybody inside your facility?
Absolutely.
And what would that negative impact be?
Up to death.
You've had people
Overdose.
die because
Yes.
of adulterated paper
Yes.
being mailed into the prisons?
Correct.
And all of the marijuana coming in is not just pure hemp product, right? There are some adulterated marijuana coming in seasoned with other
Yes.
substances?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir. Senator Harbison on 10.
Back to the drones again. What is our barrier to establishing something like a dead zone that's just almost impossible to penetrate with another outside drone kind of situation? Is that feasible? Is that legal? Or can we do that? Is that off the charts or something?
One of the things, I think Georgia's kind of leading the way on this. Myself and a couple other my counterparts across the country went up to D.C. and advocated for us. Actually did and Director Wolf was in there in that meeting too. Actually did a conference, a press conference, not a press conference, but a joint hearing with the President's Task Force on drones, and actually got it in the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, to mitigate drones. And so we're just waiting on guidance right now from the federal government on reporting of that, what equipment that we can use, and also there's going to be some training requirements to be able to do that. So technology exists out there for mitigation. We just have to get the authorization and go through the training from the federal government to be able to do so. And so that would create the dead
optimistic
zone.
to make an impact?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we made tremendous strides up there to the point where, we went to the White House myself and met with the task force and gave an intel briefing on them, and then also went to the National Intelligence Office and had a 3-hour briefing with them on how drones impact state prisons and local jails, not only in Georgia but across the country.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Commissioner.
All right, keeping with the spirit of healthcare, let's kind of give you a brief overview. Over 26% of our offenders, 1 in 4, are actively receiving mental health services and treatment, ranging from medication therapeutic services up through intensive crisis stabilization. Mental health classification currently is probably over 14,000 today, but at the time of the slide and the snapshot, it's 13,834, and that's grown from 19% to 26% since 2018. Offenders with chronic conditions are over 25,000, and that's grown from 33% to 60% since 2011. And we currently dispense on average over 100,000 prescriptions per month. And our average age of offender is 41 years of age. That's continued to increase over the years. And this kind of give you an example of what the chronic illnesses includes: cardiovascular disease, diabetes, respiratory, CPOD, cancer, HIV, and Hep C. And I kind of just want to set the stage as we move into our recommendations for healthcare.
And Commissioner, what's the primary? You said cardiovascular. Are we talking about diabetes and all the other stuff associated with that?
Yes, I mean, that might be dual diagnosed.
Dual
with,
diagnosed. Is diet a consideration part of healthcare while they're in there? How they're eating? In other words, their diets are
most of this, and I get Randy or Sally want to come back up and kind of explain this. Most of this we're catching on in diagnostic and on intake.
No, I understand that, but I also heard something where the life expectancy.
It's adjusted, so if we see that they're a diabetic, obviously there's going to be dietary restrictions prohibiting them from us.
So are we feeding them
providing
out of their condition?
Correct.
Are we giving them a healthy diet
Yes.
and getting them out so that we're reducing healthcare costs through normal
Yes,
channels
yes.
as opposed to just medication?
Yes.
Because in diagnostics, you're going to get everything.
Correct.
But there was a comment made during the joint appropriations hearings where I think you said the life expectancy has increased of those in prison. Right. And I'm not talking about the gang members that get themselves into a sideways situation, but just overall in general, the health of the person inside prison it improves once they're inside?
In some cases, I mean, I think they're coming. We have a longer length of stay. Some of them are coming in a lot younger, but then also with our healthcare, and I'll let Randy kind of speak or Cliff speak to some of that data in more specifics. But we are seeing longer.
Yeah, and Randy, correct me if I'm wrong. We're treating people that have never had a normal primary care physician. They've never been to a dentist. Some of them have mental health conditions they've never been addressed or treated for. Would that be correct?
That would be correct, probably since many of them were children.
Right,
Yep.
right.
Yep.
So when they come in, this is the first attention they've ever had, especially an overall health assessment.
Yes, and I would say that'd be a continuous health assessment through the life with us. So that's probably not what they may have gone episodically to the ER or something, but this is the first time they've been assigned a primary care physician for a duration of time.
Right.
Over time.
So with some of these physical chronic conditions, we should see an improvement within a certain period of time based on biology and genetics and everything else, so that actually when they come in, we're probably spending more on the front end than we are as they move through their life inside of prison, correct?
Yes, and one example I can use is the stop and starting of medicines. They may stop and start hypertension medicine in the community. They just don't go pick it up, where now they get it every day. And if they refuse it, we document that why they're refusing. So for the first time in their lives, they're on continuous therapeutic treatment over the course of their time without interruption. So that's what we do with them behind the wire care.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you.
All right, on tracking 110.2, physical health care, the per diem, additional beds, and outside the wire care, the AFY 26 amended is 38.8 million, and that's going, of course, to additional beds at Autry that were brought online. It wasn't in the original contract due to dry docking for renovations. That covers over 500 offenders plus a 17 skilled nursing unit, which will require a future contract increase once the population is fully transitioned, once we fully open Autry back up in late 27 and FY 28. Also includes the addition of McCray Women's Facility, which includes a 24/7 14-bed infirmary, and then also a additional 20-bed medically intensive infirmary at Johnson State Prison, and expansion of a long-term acute care at Augusta State Medical Prison for a 20-bed infirmary. Our infirmary beds was really eating up some of the outside the wire costs, and I can let the medical teams kind of speak to that, but it's roughly costing us $4,000 per day per inmate that we have, that we can't bring back inside the wire for infirmary care.
All right, Commissioner,
Yes.
how many inmates do you currently have at Autry?
It's right at about 500 now.
Okay, how many do you anticipate at the end of this fiscal year, June 30th?
Well, we'll flip that population. So we're working on one side of the facility. We'll shut down the site we're currently using and shift that side over, which has an additional 800 beds. And then, so we'll take those offline, and we'll be right at about additional 300 or so beds, because we'll be working on the side that we're shutting down.
Okay, so the population will increase by 300?
Correct.
Okay.
At Autry.
At Autry, right. And how many infirmary beds are occupied at McCray?
All of them right now.
Correct.
How many is that?
19, 14,
17.
17.
All right. So, end of this fiscal year, you anticipate all those beds to still be? You don't have an empty bed
No.
there? Right. Okay. And the costs that currently are at Arendelle, are those shifted to McCray?
Yes, some of it. The 24-hour care is shifted to McCray.
Okay.
We still have a clinic up there.
At McCray? Okay.
At Arendelle.
At Arendelle, okay. Yes, sir, Chairman.
We have inmates that require 24-hour care.
Correct.
How many?
Well, currently we have 14 that are outside the hospital, or outside our, especially select hospitals.
Right.
That require 24-hour care. I have 17 at the Autry facility. That's our first skilled nursing home. We've never had one in the Department of Corrections. We kind of carved that out when we opened Autry. I was able to get it in. I got 17 that require 24-hour care. There's a nursing home patient. 17.
So, and if I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Randy, but I'm trying to get to a point at the end. I don't, let me see if I can get there, and then you tell me, so I don't waste any more of the chairman's time. Are they a threat to the public anymore?
Read my book.
Well, many of them cannot do their daily dressing, brushing their teeth,
That's
and
what I'm
combing their
getting
hair. I don't know about, I wouldn't respond to the threat part, but they would have a hard time manifesting anything beyond their immediate surroundings.
They'd have a hard time getting out of their hospital
Yeah.
bed. Is that
Many of
correct?
them are non-ambulatory. Yeah.
Has there been any push from corrections with the Board of Pardons and Parole? Because as long as they're in our jail facility, if I'm correct on federal law, we can't use Medicaid funds to treat them. But if they were in a skilled nursing facility,
Yes.
we're getting a 3-to-1 match on that dollar.
Yeah, we have a very aggressive medical reprieve program with pardon and parole. We submit eligible candidates that medically meet the need under the statute. And we submit those, and we meet with pardon and parole monthly to go over these lists. And so once we transfer the completed application to pardons and parole, then that door closes, and we don't interact with them anymore, and they make that consideration based on the information that we provided.
And the number, I'm asking you to ballpark here, so if you're off, please, I'm not holding you to it.
Okay.
But if you had to guess, obviously you've been in our state corrections department for years, how many individuals are in our custody at DOC, yet probably could not get out of their bed?
We would think anywhere between 60 and 80.
And so, Randy, you're saying these are 60 and 80 individuals that if we put them out in the free world, their ability to to become a recidivist is almost nil?
Based on their ability to do their daily activities.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. And what kind of conditions are we talking about?
Post-stroke acute, hemorrhagic stroke to the brain, bilateral amputations, congestive heart failure, advanced diseases, cancers that are mitigating.
What's an average age of this population? Do you have and I hate to ask you, to ballpark something, but.
I don't have that age, but I would say it will be certainly older than the age of 40, yeah.
All right. 110.5 prior year funds for physical health risk share. That was
I apologize. Y'all said something outside the wire, right?
yes.
Are y'all still in risk share negotiations?
Yes.
Then help me understand where the $15 million number comes from if we're still in negotiations.
Yeah, I'm going to let the finance folks speak to that specifically.
Comes
but-
from the contract.
Is this already in the current contract?
Yes.
The $15 million?
The first 15 million over what we pay for outside the wire care, we're responsible for. The second 15 million, Centurion's responsible for.
So is this a line item? Is this in our budget every year, this
It's
first
included in
15
that
million?
figure. It's included in this figure,
It's included in which figure?
in the request, in the governor's recommendation.
Right. What I'm saying is that an annual request, that 15 million, since it is
Currently.
in the contract?
Yes,
Okay, and you said currently. I mean, the contract's still current, right?
yes,
So it's something we ask for every year, the 15, because we anticipate there being a cost to us for 15 million to pay for outside the wire health care, our portion on risk share?
yes. It's the outside the wire care that exceeds what we pay just on a day-to-day basis.
Right. And has it consistently been 15 million is always there?
So we're still going through the audit on the first year's claims.
Right?
So we don't have that data yet. And the first year, you have to realize the first 3 months, that was the first 3 months of their contract, so a lot of the claims had not come in. So the first year is going to be lower
Okay.
than year two.
All right. How much longer before we reach some conclusion
It'll
in
be
this?
soon. It'll be within the next month or so.
Okay, because it seems a few months back, it wasn't going to be too far down the road either. Is there a sticking point that, and if there is, what is it?
So we've completed the audit,
Uh-huh.
but there was missing data where the auditors couldn't confirm that the rates paid by Centurion met their contracted rates. So they're currently pulling that data, identifying what data was missing, so we can resubmit it to the auditors.
Who was missing the data, us or Centurion?
Centurion on what they sent to our auditor.
How long have we contracted with Centurion
Oh, we're just in year two.
overall, lifespan?
Now, that's mental and physical health, we're in year two.
And and this was after we were abandoned by the
Wellpath.
last,
Oh, Wellpath,
by the
correct.
last vendor, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But Centurion also does our mental health,
And
they
dental.
do our dental health. And has Centurion ever bid on our pharmaceutical?
No, they did not. Our pharmaceutical is a separate contract.
I understand that, but
So they
Centurion
did not
still,
bid on
they,
that.
they could though, correct? If they
Correct.
chose to?
If they chose to.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
One 110.3 mental health contract, and amended is 479,000, and then 110.4 dental contract 374,000, and that's staffing-based contracts for rebate vacancies, allow GDC to stay within our budget. Also provides funds to prioritize increases for 3 critical positions on mental health counselors, psychiatrists, and dentists, as you all know and aware. It's just like us, it's hard to attract and retain staff to come work behind the wire to provide those services. And so it's kind of a proof of concept to see if it works before we ask for additional funding. And I know they're here, they're gonna probably speak a little bit on that as well when it's their time to come up.
And so what, the increase on the mental health, to increase staffing ratios, and you said staffing ratios for psychiatrists, right?
Yeah, it provides funding for salary increases for 3 critical positions: a mental health counselor, psychiatrist, and dentist. It's a proof of concept, so if they're successful in recruiting and retaining, and future year funding would be needed.
Am I reading this correctly, that we're looking at a 30.3% increase in psychiatric? If I'm looking under 110.3? Okay.
No, that wouldn't be for the whole. No, sir.
That's not, so going from 145, which is the current rate, to 189?
I'm not sure where you're tracking that. sir.
Okay. I'm just, Harris County math. And I can ask them when they come up.
We're gonna
I can
try to
ask
pull
them
it
when
up.
they come up.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a great conversation the other day. It only cost me $57 million. Go ahead, Commissioner.
113.6, peer-led programming pilot at Altry, again, working with our partners at the Moss Group, and came out and actually saw this in action in Texas. And it creates a pilot program at Altry State Prison for programming to allow for a blended learning model, video segments facilitated inside the dorms there. So instead of actually moving offenders from place to place, we can actually deliver programming inside the dorms to them, and they can work at their own pace. And it was very, very successful so far in Texas, and thought it'd be a good model for them to be able to complete some of their programming and treatment needs. So you're talking about like utilizing technology earlier today, kind of utilizing technology here to make sure that we're still delivering programming and also treatment needs to those offenders who needs to for managed recovery.
And the safety component for movement.
113.7 additional
Okay, go ahead.
additional programming at McCray is 93,000. Again, that's just to enhance for Metro Reentry Facility, the Helping Men Recover parenting program and relationship program, and the Speed of Trust program, and that was recommended in the governor's recommendation. 113.8, high school accreditation at 93,000, provides funding to allow GDC to become their own accredited school district by transitioning and promoting current staff to the teacher pay scale. To align with that. Currently, we're contracted with that, but they're slowly phasing out that contract, and so we'll be able to provide high school diplomas instead of offering GEDs to our 17 to 21-year-old population. And currently, we are anticipating we can probably service about 965 members of that population with the high school accreditation.
Commissioner, let me be the most unpopular guy in the room. Again, why do we need a high school program in our state prisons when we have access to GEDs?
Well, some of I know we're required to provide special education to the offender population, but then also
Help me understand, what's special education?
special ed to serve
Special education that you and I
special ed needs.
that you and I know about from public
Correct,
schools and stuff like
correct,
that. Okay.
Correct. But it also, when you talk about the rehabilitation component of it, as I mentioned earlier, we released about 13,000 people back successfully into the community. Having somebody to complete a high school diploma and or GED, we put them in. We'll assess them and put them in the correct track. But sometimes we have individuals, as you know, that come from DJJ who has a accredited school system to continue that same path. So that's why we try to focus on the 17 to 21-year-olds so they can continue the high school education. Speaking from when I was sitting in that seat at DJJ, when kids, when those individuals were transferred to Department of Corrections, they might be right there at the cusp of graduating high school and not be able to complete it because of the transfer.
Why are they transferred from DJJ to DOC?
They're sentenced as adults.
Right. They're sentenced as adult on their original charge?
Correct.
And it's a transition?
Correct.
Okay. And some of them, when they come into DJJ, have already been a part of the public school system or private school system or something, correct?
Correct.
Coming in. GED, and I have a bad habit. I can't communicate sometimes without coming off like a smart aleck, but the E is equivalency, right?
Correct.
A GED is the same as a high school diploma. If we go out into the real world and I go to get a job and you and I both been law enforcement officers for a long time, where we go in there and it says the basic requirement is a high school diploma or equivalency. And then it talks about a 2-year degree and possibly, for promotions 4-year and on through the thing. So I'm concerned that, first of all, are all of the individuals that are going to be given the opportunity to do this, are they in a particular age set with a particular charge? Are we giving people in prison for the rest of their life the opportunity to get a high school diploma?
No, it typically lines up. So when we go through classification.
Now, the question is, are we giving people that are in there for life the opportunity to get a high school diploma?
Yes, they can.
And I appreciate the esteem side of it. But I've sat in the Tillinghurst Center in Muskogee County in Columbus, Georgia, and watched really smart kids take the initial GED test. It's supposed to be the practice test. It is the test, but they let them take it the first time to let them know what the real test is going to be like. And a vast majority of them blow away the initial test where they don't even have to take the second test. They're given their GED then because they have it. And in today's world, while I love the fact that I have a high school diploma, and I know I made my mother proud by doing it, and none of us could have ever dropped out of school without my mother being reported to the Department of Family and Children's Services. The reality of today's world is that the GED is an equivalency, and that these people are being incarcerated for long periods of time, and a high school diploma is no better than a GED. Chairman Tillery?
I'm going to try to say what I think he's saying a little bit differently. Is there something that a high school diploma allows an inmate that a GED would not?
I think what
No, go ahead.
Well, I think what we have to also understand is that we're releasing 15,000 offenders back into society with some opportunity to be able to push forward towards college and towards some other things. They're tested at the rate coming in the door to be able to determine whether or not they're more likely to be able to complete their GED, they're more likely to be able to complete their high school diploma, or even go into college opportunities that are not paid for by state funds. The shift that we're making right now is moving from a charter school component to where we're actually reducing costs and doing it with our own teachers inside of our system that are already teaching as high school educators in the system. They are pushing forward into actual college courses, whether it be Georgia State, whether it be Georgia Southern even, with pushing forward and releasing back into society. So we're providing these options to these men and women that are going back into society. So I think from a cost standpoint, there won't be that much difference between your GED and your high school diploma, but it gives that option as they're coming back in, and also not attaching the Georgia Department of Corrections to it on their applications that they're putting out there.
And we're probably not going to line up on this. Is your primary population doing the high school stuff? Is it 17 to 21?
That would be the primary focus on that.
How many do you have yearly sign up and go through these programs?
When we did the initial, currently we have 965 that'll be eligible to go into that program.
Right, out of the 965, and what makes them eligible?
Based on the assessment
testing.
and the testing that they do.
So somebody could come in and test and not be eligible to go for their GED?
We'll put them in the GED track instead of the high school diploma track.
Right. So if you get these 900 and some odd that are eligible to go into the high school track,
Yes, sir.
do we know how many of those are between the ages of 17 and 21?
It's that age.
Are there charges and other diagnostic identifiers factored into that?
Correct.
So if I walk in and I'm doing 30 years for an ag assault, and we know I'm gonna do 20, and I go in there and I do pretty good, I can go into the high school program.
Their primary consideration is they're based
Yeah.
in by priority based on their release date.
Yeah. Who can administer the GED?
Our certified teachers are teachers.
Does it have to be a certified teacher? Or does it have to be a program supervised by a certified teacher?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
But for the high school thing, it has to be a teacher, correct?
Correct.
A TRS eligible
Correct.
educator. And how many of those do y'all currently have on staff? Do you know?
I don't know. Let me see. Does she get this in that sheet? Does she have?
60,
How many?
60 or 70, I think.
Between 60 and 70.
And they're tenured. I mean, you've got some that have been on there for quite a while, correct?
Right. Most of them are retired from education.
Okay, most of them are retired from Georgia educators. Do you know if they're currently drawing retirement
Some are.
Some of them are, yes, sir.
through TRS? But the ones you're using now in the program, they're being paid by the Department of Corrections separate from their retirement.
Yes, sir. Some
Correct.
of them look at it as as working toward the second retirement.
Correct.
They get their TRS from a local board of education, and then they come to us and they get their
ERS.
10-year for ERS. Yes, sir. That's one of our incentives to have them come and work for us.
And this is a out of left field question. What do we spend for our high school program right now?
We don't have a high school
We don't have a
program
high
right
school
now.
Well,
program.
What do we spend, in this?
Charter school?
For, yeah, charter school, we'll do that.
For Foothills.
I want to say is it $1 million?
We can come back to you.
We
Yeah.
can come back to you. I
Okay.
can tell you one thing that's a benefit about this being a high school program.
Yes.
Is that Foothills, the company we currently contract with,
Yeah.
they get all the federal grant money from it. This would allow us to receive that money. Assistant Commissioner Holt was saying was that, this would open, it would, it's an investment, but it also, we'd benefit from receiving those funds versus Foothills receiving the funds for us. And we would be allowed to expand that, this school to, I think it's 900 something.
965.
965 eligible.
Right, where Foothills is
Yeah.
only at 2 locations or something like that, yeah.
That's correct.
Right, but they get grant funding based on all of our population, even though they only service at 2 places.
Now, who tracks the data from Foothills for graduation? How many go into the program and how many successfully complete the program?
Inmate services.
Inmate services, so we can get those
In-house, we
numbers?
do. Yeah,
Yes,
it's
sir,
in our
we do.
impact report, and I
Is
can
it?
get you a
Okay.
copy of it.
Yeah,
It's
well, I
publication,
should have your
too.
impact report in my office.
Yes, sir, it's there.
Okay. It has the number of how many are eligible, how many enrolled, and how many successfully completed?
I know completed, I know it has that in there, I can't recall, I don't.
Might have enrollment, but if not, we can pull that
Right.
data for you.
And look, and I appreciate the deputy commissioner, and I know he and I understand that there are opportunities inside the wire to make men and women better. And I'm not talking about a better person, most of them are good people. But I'm saying to get something on their resume, to prepare them for when they exit out into the real world. And we all want that. But what is the reality and what is the cost to do that? Because I can tell you that when somebody comes in the appropriation chair's office and they talk about education, nausea ensues because we spend a tremendous amount of our state dollars every year on education. And so I think we have to focus it where the greatest value is. And I know some incredible men and women that have a GED that have been extremely successful in their professions. And a lot of these people that come into corrections, nobody has ever cared enough about them to want them to, and believe me, there's pride that comes with a GED with the men and women. We ran one in a jail that's in Senator Harbison's district. And they get it in jail. So they haven't even, been adjudicated to go to prison yet. And when they get out, that's one of their, when it comes to sentencing and all this other stuff, they use that kind of stuff as an opportunity. So I just want to make sure we're getting the value out of it, that our taxpayers are getting the value out of it. I'm not trying to beat up high school. Lord knows if it wasn't for high school, Randy Robertson may be one of your 50,000. So, I appreciate that.
Chairman Robertson?
Yes,
that
sir.
Great budgeting team I talked about already have already let me know that we spend $104,000 annually with Foothills.
104?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this great budgeting team, what agency are they with?
Department of Corrections.
Oh, okay, I was just checking.
If we can keep them, sometimes the Senate Budget Office likes to recruit from our team, so.
Yeah, they've actually got some slots in their budget. They're recruiting today. Yeah, yeah.
Just kidding.
All right.
Thank you.
Next, 111.2, the jail subsidy payment to local jails at 6.2 million. It currently provides funding the jail subsidy payments through December for the projected cost through the end of FY '26. And some of that jail subsidy, of course, as I spoke about in the joint session, was due to Hurricane Helene, the winter ice storms we had.
Commissioner, did you
last
say
year.
hurricane?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
You had me confused for a minute.
I know.
It's too early, sir.
I know it is.
And the ice storms, and then also we have some beds offline for our ongoing construction and renovation projects.
How many do we currently have in county jails waiting to be transferred?
About 2,000.
About
We're
2,000.
paying subsidy on about 1,400.
1,400, but there's 2,000
Correct.
waiting?
Correct.
Okay. And what do you anticipate the time before they get transferred in?
By the end of the year, this calendar year,
By the end
Rolling.
of 2026?
yes.
What's the obstacle of moving 2,000 in 10 months?
Releases, bed space, ongoing renovation projects. You know, we have currently about 2,000 or so beds offline for ongoing construction projects. You
How
all
many,
funded.
how many open beds do we have online?
Open beds?
Right about 3,000.
We have 3,000.
If we have 3,000 open,
So you go back to the
quit reading my mind.
the type of inmate, the classification, and how you can bring them in. So even though we have 3,000 beds open, we got to look at the population that's coming in and really manage that through the diagnostic process, how many people we could bring in, and then also classification and stratification, but not all
But we're not diagnosing them while they're in county
No,
jails, right?
we
We
just
got to
gotta
get them
control
into
that
Jackson
population.
first, right?
Correct. However, when those inmates come into the system, you have to be able to, so I may have 100 mental health level 3 beds open for me to put a mental health level 3 inmate in, but I only have 100 inmates coming in that have no mental health diagnosis. I can't take those no diagnosis and put them in a dorm with those mental health level 3s.
No, I understand that. How
So-
do you know that 100 doesn't have a mental health diagnosis?
Well, I don't know. As they're coming in, I don't know what they have, but I know that as I pull them in, that is the prevention. So when I have the population I have now at Jackson, that population is screened. And so I know right now what I have available to push out in the general population beds and what I can pull in to replace it.
So are you stacked at Jackson?
Correct.
Okay, so the problem is lack of beds at Jackson?
Correct.
Correct. Well, the lack
Or,
of beds.
or diagnostics?
Correct.
Yeah. Chairman Tiller, do you have?
You led him right where I was trying to find the bottleneck.
Right.
Okay.
So so when you look at the 1,400 that's in the system and getting it down, that's a rolling number. So we are pulling in the inmates on a constant basis, but we're also having an increase in sentencing, et cetera. So that number's starting to push for us. So by the time we get to December of that, we hope to have that number down.
And what is your typical ask, rhetorical question? What is your typical ask annually for this particular fund? Would it be right to say $5,000?
Correct.
Yes. And why is that number $5,000? Was this prior to Helene and that was all you needed?
Correct.
So Helene
We
is
didn't
the
take
only.
Thankfully, we didn't have a subsidy
Yeah.
or no backlog. We brought our inmates in at the time allotted for us.
Okay. Chairman Tiller.
Two things. What is our county jail per diem? 30, 35? What are we
30.
at? 30? What's it cost us to house a prisoner?
About 80.
You know I'm as tight as a tick with pennies, but I do see the problem that we have, the incentive we've created for ourselves to cause a problem for county jails if our cost is 80 and we're only paying 30. And it's not your fault. It's as a policy, while you will very rarely hear me say we ought to spend in an area, that is one that I'm sensitive to that one, just so we don't create our own negative incentive.
Right.
You mentioned the backlog may be due to some of the things from Helene. Have we been able to file a FEMA claim for any of that?
Did do some.
Good. Jackson.
Yes, sir, we did. We filed, but it's ongoing.
Okay. Do you know how much we submitted that we thought we would be owed?
I don't think we were able to include jail subsidy at all.
Yeah, but we weren't able to include jail subsidy. We submitted 4,000, but property claims, stuff like that, storm damage.
Gotcha.
But as far
But
as
you
jail
don't think we
subsidy, no, sir, we weren't able to claim that.
To the commissioner, or deputy commissioner, if an individual's in a county jail and they're adjudicated, do they become ours the next day?
No, sir.
No, when I say ours, do we owe a subsidy the day after sentencing?
No, we don't. The clerk has 30 days to actually submit all paperwork and get the personal history summary from the sheriff's office.
Right.
And then after that, there's 15 days for us to bring it in. Typically, in that time frame, we're checking for actual legal sentence. It may be sent back for one reason or another to the clerk to correct the sentence or correct the paperwork. So that time frame is correcting anything that may not be right with the sentence before we can actually bring them in and then submit it into our portal.
Do you know what an average time would be? Would you say a month?
I will tell you that we had about 4,000 return cases last year.
What is a return
A
case?
case returned back to the clerk because it was not an accurate submission into our portal for us to bring the inmate in for one reason or another.
Was it clerical or was it?
Clerical, sentence structure, not the way it needs to be by law, or parts of the information that we need for the inmate, numbers, personal history summary, not concluded in the
So
paper.
they belong to the sheriff until all of that is done?
Correct.
So we're not paying subsidies up to that point?
Correct.
Does sheriffs come back and try to back up a subsidy and say,
No, we have a very good
Real good
partnership
relationship
with the
with them.
sheriff, so.
but the day they become ours, if they're in the county jail and they're taking whatever medication, they're going through whatever else, does that also become part of our expense, or is that part
Not
of
until the 14 day, we have 15 days to get them. So
Right.
once everything's submitted correctly into the portal, and then after that 15th day, we start paying for them. But if a county jail has an inmate where they have chronic health issues and things of that nature, they know to pick up the phone, they call me or call one of the members of the team, and we get them in immediately to stop that cost from that county, from that
Right.
jail.
But is psychotropic medication a chronic? Because I think everybody, I mean, a huge percentage are taking. But do they continue to absorb those additional costs, or to Chairman Tillery's point, does that increase our 80?
Does it increase your?
What it talks, or is that, are we paying a
diem
subsidy
remains the
and
same.
we're paying on
The
top
per
of
diem
that?
remains the same. I know
Okay.
the calls that I received, I mean, I don't think it's for any type of medication. It's just like, have somebody in the hospital have a serious illness that we have to get in, and we go have them either come bring them to us, or
And
we go
again,
get
I'm
them.
not talking about anything serious.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about somebody with cancer, HIV, or any of that kind of stuff. I'm talking about just typical inmate going through medical protocol that are receiving medication while they're in the county jail. When day 16 hits, does that expense, in addition to the subsidy, fall to us, or does it stay with the sheriff's office? All we
Sheriff's
pay is
office.
the subsidy.
It's just,
There is a when you're talking about our counties, medical expenses?
not the county prison,
Sheriff's.
the sheriff's office.
Okay.
Well, the sheriff's office would be the county.
Well, we run county.
Oh, you're talking about CIs?
The
You're
CIs,
talking about
correct.
correctional
Right.
institution? Okay, yeah.
All right. Then 111.3, the offender inmate assignment decision support. That's just to increase the support for our ongoing licensing agreement for our ongoing system that houses for classification. 112.1, to correct the tier rate for our funding for House Bill 68 for our private prisons at $1 million. And that's just to align the funding to the correct contractual tier rate to fully maximize the available beds at Jenkins and Riverbend. And then,
Real quick, do our contracts with our private prisons automatically have a CPI? in
no.
there? So they're static,
Yes.
just there? Okay,
Has to be funded first. Has to be funded first.
okay.
$113.9, operations at a 505 modular correctional units at $880,000. Again, that provides 6 months of operational costs projected in FY26 and annualized in 27. Food and farm, food service at the 4 modular units at $182,000. That's 109.2. Sorry, I'm skipping around. And then also 113.10, the operations at Lee Arundel State Prison is just at 1.5 is to, there was a reduction in the closure And so we need those funds to continue operating Lee Arundel for the 200 TC residents, the 400 long-term maintenance, and the utility, packing plant, and then the fire team.
So when do we look to turn the key on the first new?
March 1st. We did our walkthrough, what's today, Tuesday, punch list, and so we should have the keys as soon as a fire inspector does their fire inspection. Don't see any hiccups with that. We're looking to have our first inmates in the Dodge on March 1st.
Is it everything you thought it'd be?
And more. Good. It looks very good.
Happy about that. That's great.
$113.12 lease costs for the training building. That's $14,000. And then also 114.2, another lease cost for training for LaGrange and Clayton Transitional Center.
The lease cost on the training building at 113.12, where's that training building?
Milledgeville?
Milledgeville.
Okay.
Our building. And then down there, you can see the breakdown for the amended 26, our statewide recommendations, and it breaks down across all programs, and about $15 million. And don't have to worry about that.
Commissioner,
Yes.
are we still housing folks in Arundel?
We have about less than 170 inmates to actually move to McRae, 70 left. There will be additional, again, 200 transitional center inmates, about 200 or so, 200 long-term, and for our packing plant, and then to include the fire team up there as well.
But McRae is fully operational, right?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay, and so how many beds do we have open at McRae right now?
They are down to about 65 beds at McRae that remain open, that are operational beds. The other are segregation beds.
So how long do we anticipate before we have Arundel empty? I mean,
We got to pull it. We got to pull in the remaining 70. So we're trying to phase in that in. So I would say about what?
The remaining 70 there are lifers and life without, so we're moving them between the two. So we're making sure that we put them in the right location.
So all of those are lifers?
Correct.
Lifers or life without?
Life without.
Yes,
Okay.
and our
UDS.
UDS offender still remains and will be moved to McRae.
You're what?
Under
Under
death
death
sentence.
sentence.
Oh, under death sentence, yeah, okay. How many do we have there?
One.
Just that one? Okay, thank you.
And I don't know if we want to go over the some of the recommendations and the capital projects. I know we are working closely with our partners over at GBA, so I know they're going to speak more to the lock and controls, things of that nature. But I just draw your
Yeah.
attention to vehicle replacements at 371.11.
I think a lot of that stuff is fairly self-explanatory.
Okay.
But we do have some folks here, I believe, about the locking controls that are managing the Tiger teams, right? The things that were funded last year?
Yes, they should be here.
Yeah, could somebody from that group come up? Jisvik. There he is.
Is it okay here?
Yes, sir, there, the corner's fine, yeah. If you just grab Mike.
Do you have a PowerPoint, Journal?
And I think they have.
You have a PowerPoint? Everybody has a PowerPoint.
Yes, that'd be great.
It's really simple. we'll look at what you got.
Yes, sir, we're just going to fly through it. Just kind of, a little bit, we kind of were, and I apologize, Chairman, Mr. Dean, appreciate y'all. Just kind of, we'll go to the next slide. We'll go through this fairly quickly. Kind of wanted to add a little bit of scope of what this represents. In April of last year, we were kind of tasked to take on some of the capital projects, construction projects throughout GDC. GISVIC had 16 project managers, between April and July, everything you see in gold were added. So we added an additional, and then one additional person. We added an additional 12 project managers that are just dedicated to handling GDC projects. Additionally, we assigned our Director of Operations, Charlie Parrish, who's here. 90% of his time is on the job, and then we have a gentleman that does our special projects, Chris Blackburn, who's 50% of his time. What's unique about this is 100% of this cost of this project come out of GISFIC operations. None of this comes out of the funds that have been appropriated by the General Assembly to GDC. GISFIC is very fortunate that we're able to have been very fortunate. We have $4.7 billion in projects. We have pretty good revenue from our interest earnings, and we were able to absorb all of that within that operations. So the money that was provided when it comes to operations, all that's going in there. We got good people in there, staffed up fairly quickly. So from there, with Charlie, we took on the Mod Corps projects, which our first one just was going through the final punch out this week, and then have all the other projects that are involved with that. With the new prison, everything else, Charlie's got a list of all the operational projects. But I think with the locking controls, I think we've had a little bit of information here, a little bit of information there, and I think it's one of those things where the next slide, I'm going to turn over to Charlie Parrish and kind of explain how the locking controls work, kind of give you an overall project, because that was a big push last year.
Yes.
We've started off, we actually have the first project is underway this past 2 weeks ago, but why did it take so long to get there?
You just asked my question.
And I just want you to know, but I think this kind of slide will kind of help you that, and I'll turn it over to Charlie Parrish.
Yes, sir, and thank you.
Thank you,
Jim.
Charlie.
I will let you know that I'm going to try to be brief. I've been accused of telling you how to build the watch if you ask me what time it is, so feel free to cut me off or push me forward. Essentially, when you talk about how long it takes to get a lock, and I think that question gets asked often, and I've even been guilty of answering, you say 6 to 8 weeks. A detention lock, you get in the queue, you get your lock, 6 to 8 weeks. That is true if you want a base body lock, detention lock. So if you
And
have,
Charlie,
yes.
just to help you, we understand that there has to be a design, there has to be manufacturing, and then there has to be delivery.
Yes, sir.
So we understand that. These are unique situations.
Understood. Yes, sir.
So if you could encompass those 3 tasks and getting it installed.
Yep.
To tell us where we are and how fast we're moving.
Yes,
That
sir.
would be perfect, yeah.
Yeah, so if you have a straight replacement lock or you have a new construction where you're building that frame and that engineering is sort of built in and parallels, 6 to 8 weeks, you can get you a detention lock under most market conditions. When you have a retrofit like this, there's some more steps to that. It's more complicated what you're speaking to, sir. So first you have to line up the right people to get to before you can even get a price or get anyone started. You're talking about a week or 2 to get everyone lined up to get there to visit the job site. You got to review all the components of the lock, the frame, the wiring, everything to make sure you get that lock body and that assembly priced and all the components understood and correct. Once you have that, of course, our manufacturer, our partners go back, they price it, they provide us a quote, we go through an approval process. Once that is completed and we approve that quote, the engineering team actually goes out, so there's a week or 2 for them to get out there. They do a more intense study. I'm talking about measuring the frame at multiple points, the diagonals, the reveals, the offsets from all those connection points where it goes into the lock, the latch ties, checks every single point of that. They go back and do intense and detailed engineering shop drawings. They dimension every corner, offset, frame. Even our first project, we found that we had to have a custom engineered lock, not their sort of standard, like this will fit most locks, because a lot of our frames are older, and there's an offset issue with the where the hole was for the lock and where the food pass flap was. So all of that gets engineered and checked, and it's for each door. So if a door's been replaced or a door's out of parallel, out of plumb, something's happened to it, we got to make sure everything lines up, all those components. So once those engineering drawings are done, which is really the heaviest lift of that process, those shop drawings come to us, our team, both our team and the GDC lock team. We review those, make sure we agree with them, don't see any issues with them, and then we send them back to start that fabrication, manufacturing, and assembly process, which is the 6 to 8
So do
weeks.
we have fabricated locks now?
Yes, sir. We've delivered the locks at Smith State Prison, enough to get started and keep going.
What's enough?
We need about 4 pallets so we don't outrun the delivery of the locks.
Right.
And so those are on site and we're moving. We're transitioning to deliver Phillips State Prison. We have 2 pallets ready to deliver. And in the next 30 days, we'll have those 4 pallets to get started at there at the beginning of March. And we'll run in parallel, flipping from Smith to Phillips for delivery of locks, so we keep those projects moving. And then once we complete those projects, we will start delivering the locks from Macon.
How long do you think we'll be through with the first 2?
The first 2. So, make sure I tell you the right number. We shifted, so February of next year, we're looking to finish Smith, and Macon is, I'm sorry, Phillips is set to be a couple of months after that. And I actually have charts.
So are we looking at Macon in summer of '27?
So Macon is pending right now. So Macon is one of our level 5 facilities along with Smith.
Right.
Due to our security concerns at those facilities that we've gone through with the Commissioner and Assistant Commissioner Holt, we actually are waiting to do Macon State Prison until we can complete Smith State Prison, because there are 2 level 5 facilities.
Right. So are we talking summer of '27? We're talking about 3, right?
Probably spring.
I would say spring, sir. The whole thought process is I need to be able to reserve those beds for Smith to move them over to Macon.
And you're already making those plans now, right?
Correct. We have a plan for numerous facilities throughout the time to keep moving. Dooley State Prison, which is prior to Just Fit coming on, actually completes this year as well. So we have actually a 4th facility that's being completed. I would tell you in July, August that it'll be completed. 1,800 beds, almost 1,800 bed facility. Once we move into Smith, which is completely open, and I get through that, I can then shift those beds over to Macon and start at Macon. I don't want to have the 2 level 5 facilities off at the same time.
And Charlie, we have the manpower, Tiger teams to get all this done pretty seamless as long as our supply keeps coming in, or the pallets and.
So these projects, these replacement projects and our 2 lock and control projects, we are hiring contractors and integrating firms to come and do this work for us. This is a bid process. The Tiger teams are a support team for the GDC lock project to provide maintenance and, small repairs, not full facility repairs.
How long's the bid process taking?
From the day we call a contractor and line up and confirm they have resources, I would say 60 to 90 days is the worst case.
The worst?
Yeah, that's, if first call, they have a superintendent when we need them that's qualified to do it and can pass all the qualifications. We get them the documents. The bid process is 3 to 4 weeks to make sure we get competitive bids, and then we review for a week or 2 and get them released. And we always do a job walk to make sure they're actually understand the site to get good bids.
Okay.
And we're very fortunate within that, though, and that actually is faster than normal processing, in that we're using our task order firms that have experience, that are ones that we know that have worked in GDC, they've worked in correction stuff, that we have good experience. We're lucky to have some good contractors with that. Sometimes they just don't have the full staff of someone that is able to go into those. Tiger teams, I think Charlie is a little bit, those kind of get confused, and that's one that's a little bit differently, and I think that's starting to roll out now. And you want to try and address the Tiger teams, though, real quick?
Yes, sir. We've identified partners and done all the contracting on the Tiger teams, and we are starting those projects in February of them supporting the lock teams on.
This is February.
Yes, sir, actually. So yes,
Okay.
next week is the plan. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It rolled over on me.
Okay, you built that watch?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He's a lot better at prison, sir.
Does a good job. Listen, thank y'all so much for this. That's a lot of clarity that we needed to make sure, because it's a, yeah. What's the timeline for the mod units?
First Mod Corps, we punch list this week, so we'll have a couple of weeks of training and with the staff, and obviously a meds team comes in and clears the facility and gets it ready for inmates.
Right.
So that one's ready, and we'll be doing 1 a month essentially for the next 3 months, and then the medical will be the last one, and it's in April of this month, or April of this year.
And
So,
inmates moving in
well,
this month.
this is, okay.
So, I'm sorry, construction completing 1 a month, starting, we had 1 in
Yeah.
January. Lee will be in February, Montgomery State Prison in March, and Hayes State Prison in April, and you can expect about 2 to 3 weeks of training before inmates get in those facilities.
So June 1, we should be
June 1, they should all be fully populated, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, and that's all infrastructure tied in, buttoned up, punch list done, and
Yes.
bodies moving?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes.
Everybody's good with that? I really appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, guys.
And if y'all have questions, our numbers are on the back, phone numbers are there, and then the list, and if y'all have a question on this, like I said, can meet with y'all anytime, and
Be careful, Charlie and I can build a whole lot of watches together.
Charlie, Charlie, you'll enjoy working.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I think everything else is pretty self-explanatory. If you have any questions for me, I'll turn it over. I know we have our other partners in the room as far as our pharmacy vendor, a healthcare, mental health provider, and dental health provider, and private prisons here too. So.
Yeah, we'll get Centurion to come up. Hey, Tim, how's it going?
It's going well. I've got Dr. Roan, who oversees our mental health and dental program with me. So
Yeah, I saw her evaluating me the last time she was in my office.
I'll have that report ready soon.
Yeah,
that's the risk.
I don't know if I can afford it, but Tim, we'll go through this pretty quick. I
Thank you,
know
sir.
we see what the asks are, and I've got questions that we've kind of mined out of the conversations we had. So if you can help us understand some things so I can get these senators back to their other full-time jobs inside this building. Can you explain the relationship between an increase in inmate population necessitating the increase in per diem that y'all have asked for?
So yes, there is, inside that POPM increase, they are moving from sort of reimbursement for the change in scope at Autry and McRae, embedding that in the POPM. Then there's inmate increase. Then there, as part of that, there's also the ability to then do some raises as well.
And the raises for who?
Inside the physical health employees.
Okay, and which employees is those raises primarily focused on, or is it kind of spread among?
It's spread. We have nurses, we have mid-levels, we have LPNs, et cetera.
And is the increase to get us to a standard?
The increase is for the physical health, the increase is to just keep up with general inflation.
Right.
We're just started this contract. We're in pretty good shape.
Okay. Risk share. What's your opinion on how the conversations are going on risk share?
They're going. So we had defined a very specific risk share for year one. There's an attachment point at $60 million. That $60 million is built into the original POPM. The first 15 after that $60 million is the responsibility of the department. The next 15 after that is the responsibility of Centurion. And then for that first year, there was contractual language that then anything above that 90 would be split 50-50. So it was very, very clear the first year. We've got it redefined for the second year.
Okay, and what do you think, and look, we're all friends in here, what do you think causes the need for a redefinition if everything was pretty smooth the first year?
There is growing risk in off-site care.
What would that be?
We saw a lot of those slides. There's chronic disease, there's an aging population,
Well, I see chronic disease and I see aging population, but I think we've established that when somebody comes into prison with a chronic disease, they tend to get better. And life expectancy tends to improve. So I see a lot of positives. And to something that Chairman Tillery referred to others, if we have people in there that are in such egregious health that releasing them back out into the community causes little or no threat to the community, then maybe that's something we need to address. But were some of these chronic diseases and things that we're experiencing, where there's something, and it would be through no fault of your companies, but something that was not anticipated?
the anticipation of an aging population, chronic disease, no, right? That's all part of what we risk assess. Having said that, there are some things that are hard to predict. Overdose, self-injurious behavior, trauma related to violence. Those things occur, and those are much more difficult to then build into an estimate. So that's one factor. The other thing that was, again, highlighted this morning is, there has to be infirmary space to care for patients that require infirmary level care, as an example, right? And you heard Commissioner Oliver mention that sometimes it's hard to get patients out of the community back into the prisons because there's no safe discharge for them, right? So that medically intensive mod core unit, I think, will be a game changer for the organization, right? That is specifically designed. It's high intensity. It's RNs. It's physicians. And it will allow to bring back those patients that are right now in a very expensive free world setting back inside the wire where they're cared for by their providers, better continuity, safer community.
And the free world healthcare is extremely expensive right now, right?
Extremely expensive and getting more expensive every year.
Yes, sir. Tim, I appreciate that. Appreciate your candor. I do. And I think you answered one of my questions with the fact that putting the mod unit in there is a solution to bring a problem that's outside the wire back inside the wire.
I have done many ROIs in my life, and that's one of the most powerful ones I've ever seen.
It's my understanding that other states deem inmates Medicaid eligible when they stay or go outside the wire. Or do you have any contracts with states that do this? Or Are you familiar with that? How can they make that work? Can we make that work here?
Sure. A Medicaid expansion state has a carve-out for anybody that's in a hospital for 24 hours and meets certain criteria of an inpatient can be reimbursed inside the Medicaid program.
So what's the solution in Georgia?
Medicaid expansion.
I'll re-ask my question. What's the solution in Georgia other than Medicaid expansion?
I don't know the answer to that, sir, right? Florida right now, as we speak, is evaluating establishing Medicaid as the base rate for all incarcerated individuals' inpatient stays. If that passes, that would benefit the state of Florida immensely. Because right now, what we have to do, we build a private practice provider network, right? We go into the community, we go to Wellstar, we go to cardiology practices, and we contract with them. Trust me when I tell you, they're busy, right? Wellstar's got all the business it wants or needs, right? They're a great organization, great health system. And so saying, hey, I want to bring inmates into your clinic, into your lobby, into your ED, into your hospital, what we get back is, well, I'd rather you didn't. And then, but if you pay me 150% of Medicare, 175% of Medicare, we'll talk, right? So our ability to negotiate great rates is challenged by the population that we have, the impact it has on their free world facilities. And so there's almost this built-in disadvantage to what the state pays for rates for off-site care, whether that be a clinic visit or an ED visit or an inpatient stay.
Tim, what impact do we have on their free health care center that any other patient wouldn't have?
I'm sorry, say that again, sir?
What impact is different from our patient in their hospital than a free world patient in their hospital?
Security guard sitting outside the room.
That's not their responsibility, right? That's our responsibility. We absorb that cost. We don't go to Wellstar and say, hey, we need 2 security guards to watch our guy. True?
No, correct.
Yeah.
We do that.
Our guys deserve the same health care that
Sure.
free world people get, right?
100% agree with that.
Yeah. So
I'm a previous hospital administrator, so I'll just give you my perspective as I ran a big health system.
I understand the look.
That's a part of it, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to build your patient brand, your community brand, your patient satisfaction. You want to attract Blue Cross patients, a high-end patient that comes with a nice payer. If your emergency department is overloaded with inmates, that has that it's perceived to have an impact on people's perception of your institution and your, potential, your bottom line.
Again, from the time we met, I appreciate your candor. I appreciate that because basically bias, we're paying for bias and possibly just, I guess, maybe it's a small d, discrimination against our population, right? In free world healthcare.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Tim, have y'all ever bid pharmacy contracts?
I don't believe so. I'll turn to Bob May, who's been with the organization for, 30 years or so. Bob, have we ever bid a pharmacy contract?
Some of our contracts, we have to provide pharmacy. We don't own a pharmacy, so we subcontract
Right.
with companies just like the one you have. So the question came up, should we bid that? Well, we would turn to a company just like the one you have, get their prices, add our margin to it.
No, I understand
So-
exactly how it works. I do. I just wanted to know the capabilities because y'all bid dental,
Yep.
you bid physical, and you bid mental. And sometimes we find that volume tends to drive prices down. And so that was we're trying to look for creative ways to save money. I'm not saying anything against the current vendor. I'm saying it happens exactly like you say it happens. You might reach out to the exact same vendor, bring them in, and work with the margins in there. And of course, you're not in y'all are not a 501c3, so you do have to factor in your margins and your
Right.
costs. Yeah, I
That
appreciate
vendor
it.
would charge us the same as they're charging you now, and then we would have to mark that up.
You would anticipate they might.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if we could twist their arms better than you, or the department, but.
Well, if you know the chairman of Appropriations, arm twisting is his forte, so he does a pretty good job of it. Well, listen, I appreciate that answer. And two things I need to see, and we've got the two parties here, and I know these gentlemen here, they have my trust. The risk share, y'all have got to come to an understanding on that. We've got to have clear understandings of what we're spending. We cannot do hypotheticals and anticipations. The people I work with, the smart people, this is not logical. So we know what things cost. We need to get it nailed down.
And I think you're going to see that start to trend in your direction of where you're going with our. Currently we've been with our EHR system, our electronic health record system, for this is year 2, I believe. And so we're just now starting to get that data into it and doing an audit. As you remember, with our previous vendor, we couldn't get that information from our previous healthcare provider to actually assess the risk share because the information wasn't turned over to be audited. So this is our first official full year of actually working with our partners with Centurion and then actually getting that data in. So you'll start to see that kind of taper off and getting you a true number of what that number will look like in the upcoming fiscal year.
In the meeting we had last week, the way y'all are pulling the numbers in and the way y'all are doing it, even I can understand it. And I'm extremely impressed with that. But we just have to keep pushing forward, and you and I track on that. And the people on that call, where'd Randy go?
I think he stepped out.
Yeah. The people on that call, the information that was given was incredibly impressive, and I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
But you know my personality, and I identified myself on that call as to who I am, but you know why I am that guy, because there's a lot of people out there that want to take advantage of a big bucket of money, and they know that's what state tax dollars are. And so if we have the data, we can drive those numbers down so that guy down there doesn't get so upset when we're asking for adjustments and subsidies to move people out of jails and move people around. So we're all adults in this room. We've got to come to an agreement on what's what, that everybody can do this. And the only profit margin I care about is the profit that's in the taxpayer's pocket. And so we've got to come to an understanding on that. And I would love to talk to some hospital administrators who feel that the cost of an inmate is the cost of health care for one human being is more important than the cost of healthcare for another. Because there's people in prison that I want to stay there for the rest of their life, but we're not going to treat them like dogs.
Sure.
We're not going to treat them as lessers.
And if I implied that
You didn't.
that they are saying that, then
Oh,
please
no.
know I'm not saying
They're
that. We
not
have
saying
great
it.
partners
They're
that
not
do
saying it, and they will never
fabulous
say
work
it.
and take care of these patients.
And I'm not talking about the place you named, the hospital association. There's a lot of them out there. I think people see opportunities to take advantage of the state of Georgia because a patient has a blue stripe down their pant leg, and that's my concern.
And sir, I will just say this, I hear you on the risk share. We are goal aligned on addressing the auditor's questions, getting the data, the questions answered, getting the data accurate. We want the exact same thing the department wants.
Yeah, it's just hard for us to do our job when we don't have all the numbers.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, I appreciate you, Tim. Thank you, guys. We got Core Civic and Geo Group here, I believe.
Can I make a suggestion, Mr. Chairman?
You can do whatever you want to do.
I know we have our pharmacy vendor here. I don't know if they were on your list to speak to. I know they have a flight to catch.
They weren't on my list. They were
Okay.
welcome to be here.
Okay.
And if they want to say something, I'm happy to hear from them.
I'll hush.
And if they're here, the thing I want to say this that I'm excited about, and I think everybody understands my focus on mental health, and despite popular belief, mine's fine.
That's subjective.
It is subjective. Yeah. Said my good friend. But I love the fact that y'all are moving into looking at these injectables as opposed to these daily doses. Because when we're talking about $2,200 a month just in a particular prescription for one single individual, I think that's tough. But I understand the reality of research. I understand the reality of the FDA process and the expense put in by the manufacturers that drive a lot of that. So I just want to encourage whoever your contract's with and your team, which, again, impressed with your team, continue looking at those new ways to drive those prescription costs down. And by having these individuals, especially those that are psychotic and have these other problems, to be able to help them stay on, not going in there making it a daily fight. So I appreciate that.
And Chairman Robertson, any questions on mental health or dental on those contracts?
No, I appreciate what y'all doing on the dental. On the mental health side, I think when we come out in 27 in our big budget, there's going to be some hills we got to try to climb on looking at psychiatric pay and getting those where y'all feel that we can get the best body in for the job with the best results.
Great.
So
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Tim. Yeah, the private prisons, if we could. Yep, there we go. Hey, Tyler. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Just introduce yourself real quick.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, it's good to be here. Tyler Mashburn with Core Civic. It's good to be here with you, the Chairman of Appropriations, and Senator Harbison, and your committee and the team that helps you and make sure this budget moves forward. Just wanted to, again, thank the committee for their time. And
Tyler, we're going to jump in this for 2 feet because
Sure.
you hear all that noise out in the hallway.
Yes, sir.
You testified at the joint hearing talking about bed space at Jenkins?
Yes, sir, that's
Yeah.
correct.
How many beds you talking about?
We have a proposal that could expand that by about 1,500 beds.
Expand by 1,500 beds?
Yes, sir. And that would be double occupancy cell beds.
Okay, so in there we run back into the problem we have. I don't want inmates double bunked. Me personally, I'm just a vote. That's all I am. I think that creates an environment for more violence, which creates a problem with higher health care costs. It creates a problem with
Retention.
Commissioner Oliver's PR campaign, which is not, he gets beat up every day. So are our costs going to go up or down if we single bunk? You're talking about 1,500 beds?
Yes, that is what the
So
initial
if
proposal.
we do 750 and do single,
I would need to talk with our internal team about that price, but
Yeah.
I will say that just we would maintain flexibility with our partners to provide whatever bed space and whatever setup is necessary to, effectuate our role as a partner.
And remind me the security level at Jenkins.
It would be a medium security.
Medium?
Yes, sir.
So double bunk at a medium is not the same as double bunk at a close contact, close security, would you say?
That would be correct, yeah.
That's right, okay. And what kind of timeline are you talking about?
So we could, that initial proposal would be potentially about around 30 months for completion, including all facets of that. Again, that would be, that's a static number I put out there, but again, we would be willing to work with our partners at GDC and of course the policymakers to make sure that whatever is necessary or whatever is needed, we could meet that need.
And you would want the same per diem rate for your employees, right?
Yes, sir.
Which is the 2,000 the governor's offered?
Yes, that would be something and to be consistent with our testimony in front of the House, that was something that we also requested as well, understanding that the budget has needs, but we would appreciate that for parity's sake.
And for parity's sake, do you have any idea how many correctional officers you lose from private prisons that will move over to the to DOC?
I'm not sure about that number, but I can identify if there's been a past situation where that has happened based on any of these factors, whether that be pay for state versus our private facilities.
Because to be clear, this is not a $2,000 pay raise.
Yes, sir.
This is a
right.
$2,000 one-time subsidy, bonus, whatever we want to call it, correct? Yeah. Which, now Tyler, if we run through this with the beds
Yes, sir.
and the expansion, whether it's 15 or 750, who absorbs that cost?
We would, as far as building that facility, we would, typically our model has been to build that upfront cost and then work through the per diem process going forward as a partner to, recoup and also provide those services.
Who would own the facility?
We would, if it was the Jenkins facility and
Yes.
or any construction like that, it would be, CoreCivic would be the owners of that facility.
And so when you say working through the per diem, that we would work a per diem out where the state would basically pay back all construction costs?
Yes, that would be the typical model that would work, yes.
So at the end, the state would pay for it, but CoreCivic would own it, correct?
Along with the provided services of maintaining the inmates, yes, sir.
Right,
Yeah.
but yes.
That would be, that we would be paying, the upfront costs would not come from the state, but the state would
The
pay for
upfront
it.
cost would come from you guys.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
We would pay y'all back the upfront costs.
Through the service of the per diem, yes, sir, yes. Yes,
Correct.
yes.
Okay, thank you, yeah. You know,
Wasn't trying to be- I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to be
sometimes
difficult. I was trying to make sure I
Sometimes it's
phrased it
easier to
correct.
run through the kudzu than walk through it,
Okay.
so.
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Thank you, Tyler, I
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
you.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Chairman Tilt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tyler, and I know our friends, I think Gio or some of the other folks are here too. I appreciate this. I need single bed,
Yep.
closed per diem.
Okay.
Thank you. I know we do have some medium. It's not our problem in housing right now. But if y'all can get us, a closed per diem at single bed cost, then I'm comparing apples to apples. And it's just hard for me to back into that number right now, what we're looking at.
Yes, sir. I'll get that number for you from our side.
And I think all of our research, our study committees and everything else have shown that double beds do not work.
The day's over for that.
Double beds cost us more than building prisons. We got the bodies to show it. And look, people aren't there because they were the best kids in class, and we're just trying to get them all together. They don't, look, Commissioner Oliver's a good friend of mine. I don't want to live with him. Though he asks, I do not want to live with him. All right. Emmanuel, you hear from Gio?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Dave Pratt.
Oh, Mr. Pratt, excuse me, yeah. Okay, big guns.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Chairman Tillery, Mr. Dean, Dave Pratt here on behalf of the Geo Group. I'm a little bit shorter and smaller than Emmanuel, and I'd like to think I'm better looking too, but that's another thing. Here to answer any questions that you may have. We will echo what our friends from Core Civica said. We're here to be at the service of the Department of Corrections. Appreciate your leadership, appreciate the leadership of Commissioner Tyrone Oliver, and would like to answer any questions you may have, sir.
You heard the questions I just asked Tyler.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask them to you, and the best way to start out is to address Chairman Tillery's concern about single bunks and
Yes, sir.
closed per diem.
Loud and clear, what we have composed is a proposition that would be either double bunk or single bunk. We heard
Let's
what
be
you had to
clear.
say.
Let me be clear. There is no or.
Fair
It is
enough.
single
We
bunk.
heard what y'all had to say.
Single bunk.
And we have also revised our proposal to give you a single bed solution. There you have a footprint that was in existence from the beginning of the construction of the Riverbend facility. It can be expanded to an additional 480 beds. That would be 3 different buildings with 160 single cells each. And consideration of extra security, you'll also have within those cells toilet facilities, shower facilities to increase the safety of the folks housed in those facilities, and that's what we heard y'all say you wanted, and that's what we would like very much to give to you.
Pratt, you and I have always had a great relationship. I appreciate that information. That gets us to where we need to get on both the private prison sides. I've noticed that we don't have any trouble getting the other private prison groups to meetings and discussions and this kind of stuff. It seems like you guys are always excited to go over and talk to the House about your needs and everything like that. I want to point out the fact, like I said at the beginning of this, there's 4 budgets. What the Dean and what Chairman Tillery and what Chairman Robertson have to say as matters as much to us than any of those other 3. So I would encourage your client that when they want to talk about prisons, I don't need to hear it from across the hall. I need to hear it from you guys.
Absolutely,
This
sir.
is not you. You have always been very engaging, you've always been informative, and you've always kept me up to speed. But if they want to be involved, they need to be involved, because there are many games in town, and you carry the heavy load that sometimes somebody else needs to come in here and explain yourself. So I appreciate you.
Message
Chairman Tiller.
received, sir.
Thank you.
Well, option A and option B to me look like they're both double bunked.
Yeah, those are off the table, sir. What you want is beginning on page 7, I believe. You'll have a summary on page 6, but you'll see the schematics from page 7. Yes, sir.
And thank you for that.
And
Being
what's the per
proactive.
diem?
Yes, sir.
Do we know the per diem on this?
The per diem is a rolling target. Right now, as of yesterday, we were still waiting for guidance on what was going to happen, either single cell or double. We would have to give you a revised number on if it's going to be single cell. And it also will be contingent upon if you want that to be single cell, medium security, or closed security.
Closed.
Understood. I'll get that number to you ASAP.
And that's why y'all put the amenities around that, so it could be closed separate from the medium, correct?
Precisely, yes, sir.
So food service, everything would be closed on that side.
Yes, sir.
And there would never be need to touch the other side, correct?
Absolutely.
Looking at the schematics. and
Everything
the
would
way
be
y'all do that.
segregated, yes, sir.
And you think it's 24 months from entry of contract to entry of prisoner?
24 months.
Because the groundwork's already been done.
Yes, sir.
The pad's there. It's
The
just
pad's
standing
there,
up.
it's already been leveled. You have easy access to.
So that only saves 6 months?
Pardon me?
Because I'm just talking with the other crew
Jenkins?
said 2.5, right? There's only 6 months savings of having the pad ready? I'm just making sure I understand the math. I'm not questioning it. I'm just
Right.
making sure. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Because didn't the other group say, they're in the back, y'all said 2.5 years? Your facility?
30 months.
30 months? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
And that may be, I guess maybe that's average, bulldozing and all this, but
Candidly, I can't speak to
Dirt.
what would account for the
Right,
difference.
I'm not trying to hold you to the number. I'm just
Yes, sir.
trying to make sure that I have a grasp of Because quite candidly, I'll be honest with you, and the commissioner's very well of this too. We would not have held emergency meetings last year for $35 million if we didn't. We thought the lock process would move faster.
Yes, sir.
And now we know it didn't. So now we're here to
Well,
make
that's
sure that we keep our understanding and our expectations realistic as well.
Yes, sir.
Your engineering team did a good job the other day, and I appreciate that, talking about that, new construction.
Appreciate you, sir.
Appreciate that, yeah. Does anybody have anything for me?
No, again, I just want to thank you for the time and the opportunity. Always willing to be a listening ear to us and an advocate for the men and women who work in corrections. As you know, they have the most difficult job out there in public safety by far. And so I just appreciate you and the members of this committee for just taking the time and
Well, you are the chief of the largest law enforcement agency in the state of Georgia. And there's a lot of people out there that do a job that a lot of men and women who wear badges would never want to do. And people drive by your prisons every day, and they don't have a clue what goes on inside, and they don't understand the misery that not only the people that work there have to deal with, but those of you who wear ties have to juggle each and every day. And nobody in the Georgia State Senate discounts that, and everybody in the Georgia State Senate recognizes that. And we appreciate what y'all do. I want to thank Chairman Tillery for trusting me. I want to thank the committee for doing what they do. And I appreciate y'all for your patience, because you know these are not 10-minute discussions that we have, nor should they be, when we're talking about the lives of our citizens inside of these institutions. And so I appreciate y'all's time, and I appreciate y'all today, and this meeting is adjourned.
thank you.